Hello, Internet. I'm Steve Rogers. Yes, this is actually my real name, and no, the superhero gig does not pay nearly as well as people might think that it does. This may come as a shock to some of the people out there who are watching this video who know me, but I actually am quite a fan of tabletop role-playing games. No, seriously, I'm kind of a fan of tabletop role-playing games in general. I have been involved with them ever since my sophomore year of high school. I blame my cousin Trent for getting me into them. He smuggled me his copy of the original edition of the West End Games Star Wars role-playing game, and that kind of launched me into that whole world. So I've been making them for several years now. I've played a few, largely science fiction. It's been with this past year, though, that I've really had gotten into being in RPGs as a player. Most of the time I've been in as a GM up to this point. And it's been within this last year that I have become wildly aware of the realm of solo tabletop role-playing games. Now, this has been a big problem for people like me. I am a introvert. I'm a bad introvert. And finding a player group has been really tricky. You know, where I live, I did finally find one this past year. But most of my experience with tabletop role-playing games has been just as a GM. I have never actually played as a player up until this last year. And what happened this last year is I became aware of the solo RPG community. Specifically, the Me, Myself, and Die channel, wonderful channel on YouTube. Trevor Duvall, he has gotten 3 seasons of this, various RPGs. I tell people that who come to this solo community, it's not just a entertaining program. It is actually a great tutorial on how to conduct solo tabletop role-playing games. And, you know, whether or not it was his intention or not, he has succeeded on Bardic Inspiration. I have decided I'm going to give this a shot my own self. So, this is what this program is. This is the first video, the inaugural video of what I like to call the Cheapskate Gamer. Theme song. So on this, the inaugural edition of the Cheapskate Gamer, this is section -2, where I'm going to be laying around my ground rules for what I'm going to be doing with my solo campaign, which I'm going to be sharing with you through YouTube. Now, I asked myself when I first got started with this, what can I bring to the table that's new? You know, I know that Me, Myself, and Die, we've had 3 seasons of it so far as of this recording, all excellent seasons, all very entertaining. We had a wonderful demonstration of the Ironsworn RPG in the 2nd season. We've had a couple of good tutorials on how to use the Mythic GM emulator in the 1st and 3rd seasons. You know, I'm asking myself, what can I bring new to the table? You know, I'm also aware of other people who are trying to do role-playing games online as well. People such as Moses Boyaji, and I'm sure, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, with his Willona's Cave channel on YouTube as well. I came to the determination that what I could bring to the table is a very minimal RPG. And by minimal, I mean I'm probably not going to spend any money on anything as my campaign progresses. What I have bought, what I have on me, is what I'm going to be using. So my main rule for this, and I'm going to only have 3 exceptions to this, and I'll explain what I mean by that here in a second. What I'm going to be doing is playing out of the box. This is my box. This is my portable RPG kit. And everything that I have that I will be using to play my campaign will be contained within. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over cameras here and let's take a look and see what's inside the box. Alright, and we can see that, oh man, that's a much nicer camera. This is my iPhone camera that I've got in on an overhead tripod. The other camera is my desktop camera. Those will be the 2 cameras I'm going to be using for shooting everything. This box is a card caddy. It's actually 2 card caddies. They're connected by a card caddy connector with 2 card caddy caches on the ends. The card caddies were originally created by Chris Nichols of Narrows Hills Games. They were just he created them originally as a way of keeping his cards organized. He had a son. He'd like to play Uno with him, and they would have these big stacks of cards that would fall over on him. So he created this, this box that he could use during the course of the gameplay. So I'll go ahead and pop this open here real quick so you can see what I'm talking about here. So, that went smooth, didn't it? So the card caddy itself contains one deck of cards. It's real simple. You just kind of squeeze the ends open like this. It pops open and folds up like this, and suddenly you have a draw pile with your deck, and you have a discard pile, and you can just use that as kind of like that. I love these things. I mean, personally, I've always had issues. I play decks of cards all the time, and I've always had issues with what are you gonna do with a box whenever you're playing, or if you have a box that's gonna fall apart. This is really sturdy plastic, so I have not had any issues with these falling apart on me. Now, Nero's Hill Games, they were the original creator of them. They don't actually sell them themselves anymore, but you can get them still through licensed distributors. One of them is my friend, Mr. Scott Naselrod of DENEXA Games in Norman, Oklahoma. Folks, let me tell you something. My family, we collect things. My grandmother used to collect decorative spoons. My father used to collect shot glasses. Both of them collected soul stamps. And I collect decks of cards. I have collected decks of cards from all over the world. People bring them to me. They visit places. They know, okay, well, we're staying a souvenir. Let's get them a deck of cards, and that's what I have here is decks of cards. Let me tell you something. This deck of cards is from DENEXA Games in Norman, Oklahoma, and in all my experience, these are the finest decks. This is the finest deck of cards I have ever encountered. They're 100% PVC plastic. They're designed to last a long time. If they get dirty or torn, they will. You can put them in a sink with a little warm soap, a little warm water, a little dish soap. Just kind of clean them just like you would anything else. Dry them off, and they're like brand new. Bit pricey, but completely worth it in my mind. So they do sell the decks of cards. This one is a bridge deck. They do sell bridge decks. They sell poker-sized decks of cards as well, and they will sell poker-sized decks of cards with the card caddy and the attachments. This is their Adventurer's pack. So if it's got the poker-sized deck, you can get the you can just get in like the Adventurer's pack is available for the DENEXA Games. This is a bridge-sized deck, personally, because I like to use bridge-sized cards, and you can see that they just shuffle and deal and spread out just like you would any other deck, and a real high-quality product. I use a deck of cards in my role-playing games because that's what's my GM emulator is going to be using. It's going to rely on one of these. So yeah, I had two card caddies here. The first one's got my regular deck of cards. That's this one here. You may have seen me pull this one open just a few minutes ago. This one is a copy of AXEBANE'S deck of mini dungeons, and this is available through a product that is available through the Game Crafter. Actually, you can get a PDF version of the deck of mini dungeons through Drive-Thru RPG, but if you want a hard copy like the one I've got here, there's a really nice hard copy. Those are available through the Game Crafter as of this video. What I really like about the deck of mini dungeons, for a solo role-playing game in particular, is that you draw a card. Any of these cards, you can see that they actually have little battle maps on them. They have little things that you can roll up here at the top, like say for this particular one, in this corner here, there's treasure, and you can figure out what kind of treasure by rolling particular dice, and also based on what the dungeon level is. So this could be gold points, it could be like something close to 120 gold. 10 to 11 here. It's a poison needle trap, so you don't want to necessarily roll that. But it's great for solo play because it does kind of preserve the element of surprise. If you don't make those rolls until it becomes important to make them, if you could still explore that way, you could still have a fun time in adventures. So I like to use the deck of mini dungeons as a way of launching off my campaigns more than anything else. That's kind of a trick when it comes to solo games. You have to figure out something for your characters to do right away. This is a great way of doing it. And, the battle maps, they actually are quite useful for other purposes besides just general adventure play in dungeon sites. I actually put 2 or 3 of these together in one of a solo game I was playing a few months ago, where I would use the cards to emulate the area around a bear's cave. And you'll be happy to know that my character survived, and the people who were trying to kidnap him at the time did not. So, that's 2 bits of the box. And let's go ahead and take a quick look at the rest of this. The third bit I've got is this card caddy connector. Now, I haven't really found a great use for this. It is, you can see that it has a pegboard. There are 2 pegs in the back, and it's kind of a number counter. Really, the best use I've found for it so far is when I'm traveling. This makes a really nice, handy, flat surface that I can actually write things on. And that's about it. I have thought about using the pegboard. I did try some early experiments with it as a HP counter, and I just found it was easier to keep track of things the traditional way, you know, by pencil and paper. But I have considered using this. The numbering is correct to use it to keep track of time. So that may be something I use it for during the course of the campaign. Now for the caches. The caches are where the real fun stuff is. I have here the first cache, and you can see I have quite a little collection of doodads in here. Let's see, I have a mechanical pencil, $5, very nice one. This is a Pentel Twist Erase. It's a 0.7 millimeter, $5 mechanical pencil. I had been using this one for work for a long time. I thought I broke it, and then it just turned out to be something temporarily jammed. But in the meantime, I had bought another one, so this one I'm able to keep with my role-playing kit. So I have 3 sets of polyhedral dice that will also fit in my kit here. One of these is these are from Metallic Dice Games. One of these is a Stardust Galaxy 16mm mini polyhedral set. I also have a Midnight Fantasy 16mm set. This new one here is a 10mm set, and I don't have the notes on what specific type of dice this is. But you know, they're perfectly good. They're perfectly usable as RPG dice. I mean, you know, you sit there and just toss them. During the course of my games, I will have one of these card caddy caches empty, and I can use it as a dice tray. That's not a particularly great roll right there. And you'll notice these little cubes are here. Now, these are actually just really generic printed cubes. I work for the University of Oklahoma Libraries, and we have a printing lab that does, 3D printing lab. And so I just went over to them one day and had them say, hey, make me a bunch of half-inch cubes in as many different colors as I can get, and we'll do like, I don't know, 20 or so of them. So we did that. We printed them all up, and these are the results. And they did a pretty good job of them. And the thing is, I didn't have anything specific in mind whenever I was creating them, but it turned out through wonderful happenstance that half an inch was exactly the size I needed to fit on the little squares on the deck of mini dungeons. So that was kind of a nice little bonus. Okay, so we have one cache left to go into, and this is the fun one. This is the big one for me. In this deck, in this particular cache, I have my rule sets. This is the Microlite 20 5th Adamantine Edition. It is a sub-miniature role-playing game. It is based off of 5e. It's basically 5e. The idea is that I can use any material from 5e that I want with minimal adjustment. About the only thing in here that is not a piece of 5e. I have a Fresnel lens. I have a Fresnel magnifying glass in here. That's because I'm getting old and my eyesight's starting to fail me. But this will be the system that I will be using to play my role-playing campaign with. And I'll go into the details of how it works in the next video. That's my plan to do that. So session -1 is going to be going over the Microlite 20 5th Adamantine Edition, the basic rules, how it works, and it's a really simple system. Y'all should be able to understand it pretty readily. That's going to be what I'm going to be using for my RPG rules. Now, as far as my game emulator of choice is concerned, my GM emulator, I will be using the one-page solo engine, which is a nice little free, minimal, I would say minimal but still robust GM emulator. And I will be going over that one in the next video as well. So that's the contents of my box. That's what I'm going to be doing most of my gaming with. Now, as I said earlier, I have 3 exceptions to that rule. The first exception is I will be using some of the materials that are contained in the guidebook DM Yourself by Tom Scott and its companion guide DM Yourselves. I don't have a hard copy of that one. I want to get one as soon as I can. Right now they're not in print. They just got done with the Kickstarter, and the full versions, they have what's left right now of print versions are the ones that had printing errors in them, so I'm going to wait a little bit on that. But I do have the PDF, so I do have access to that material. Excellent guidebook for solo play. A lot of material in it is focusing on pre-published adventures, things like the Lost Mines of Phendelven, or some of the other larger campaign settings and adventures. But there are some of the principles that are contained within the book that I have found useful for my own solo play up to this point. And I'll go over those once again in the next episode. The second of my exceptions is I will be using a website which I've come across as ADVENTURER'S. There's an English, it's a French website. There is a section in it that is in English, and I'm going to be using that as my online bestiary. There is a bestiary of monsters that comes with the Microlight 20 system, but it is understandably limited, and not everything that is in that is contained in, there's things that show up in the Deck of Many Dungeons that are not in that M20 bestiary natively. So I want to have access to that particular reference. And the third exception is I want to have access to the 5e SRD, just in case there's some kind of something happens in the game. It's not handled by the Microlight 20 rules. It should, but I have that as a backup, okay? So that's going to do it for this inaugural episode of the Cheapskate Gamer. I hope that you join me next time. We're going over the Microlight 20 5th Adamantine system, and I'm going to be going over the one-page solo engine, and I'm going to be going over things in DM yourself. Until that next time, I hope that you will tune in again. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to give money to solo RPGs in general, go give the money to Trevor Duval. He really needs it. I don't. So, like I said, I'm not raising money with this thing. So that's going to do it for this episode. I hope to see you again next time.